Okay, now we're gonna install games on the PS1 Classic. To do that, we're gonna need a couple of things. So I'll have all these links posted in the description, but you're gonna need the thumbnail packs, box arts, that sort of thing if you want to include it. Otherwise, it'll just show up as a blank and you can just choose the game from the list. Keep in mind, if you do add these packs, they are large in file size, so depending on how much room you have on your USB, just keep that in mind. Cores, we're going to need all the RetroArch cores for the PS Classic. We can get them on this link, and we're going to need some database files, which we can get from this link. So starting from the first link that I have here on the thumbnail packs, this is where you get all the box art. And so I'm going to download the NES one. It tells you the file size right here. I'm just going to download NES box art, and then while that's downloading, I'm going to go to the next link to get the cores. The cores are basically your emulators. If you want to play a certain emulator, you need the core for that emulator. So for example, if you want to play SNES games, you need the SNES 9X core. If you want to play Game Boy Advance, then you need the VBA core. If you want to play, arcade, you're gonna need Final Burn Alpha or MAME. So that's the reason why we need to just download all of these cores. So following the link, if you don't see an all cores.zip file here, we're just gonna hit the name button up here, and then there is the file that we need. So if we download that, just right click, save link as, save to desktop or wherever. It should download it. And we need to go to the other link, which is for the database. So we need the database RDB files. At the same time, if you want to get cheats for your games, you can download them here. I personally don't use them, but if you want to use them, they're here, so I would download those too. I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download again, but that should be all the files that we need. Here is a Nintendo box art, which I'll drag to my box art folder. And here are the all cores, which replace my existing one, so they're my all cores. Here are the cheats. Here's our overlays. And our database cores for the PSP, since it works a little different, and then all of our cores. So in my box art folder, I've dragged in my Nintendo artwork pack, and I'm just going to extract that here into this folder. I'm going to delete the original zip file and open up my Nintendo box art just to see what we have here. So great, all of our snapshots and game images are here. Next thing I'm going to do is go to my games folder, where I have all the games for all the emulators that I want to add to RetroArch. So I'm going to start by opening up my hard drive that says Sony on it, and this is where I'm going to make a folder, temporary folder, just call it RetroArch Games. And in this folder, I'm going to drag all my games. So I'm going to pause the video and do that. just to show you. Here are all the NES games, and I'm going to drag that to the make a folder call it Nintendo, and drag all my Nintendo games onto here. And so you're going to do this process for every emulator that you have. I'm going to pause and I'm going to add all the games that I have. Once you have added all your games to your hard drives directory, now we have to actually go and add the database files. So to do that, we're going to open BleemSync. We're going to go to the folder called OPT. We're going to go to retroarch.config, retroarch again. And now we're in the main folder, and we're going to open the database folder, open RDB. And this is a folder where we need to drag all of our database files. And so we have the database RDB right here, so I'm just going to drag that onto there. Right click, extract here. And it's going to install. It's going to extract all of those database files for all our cores. Now that we have our database files in our RDB folder, we can go back to the retroarch folder, open the cores folder, and we already have one core in here, but since we have our zip file, allcores.zip, we can extract this into this folder. Once that's done, I'm going to choose not to replace this since it was already in there. I'm just going to leave that as is, and I'm going to delete the allcores zip file. So now if we go back to the retroarch, we have our database files and we have our core files. So navigate to BleemSync OPT retroarch.config retroarch cores, and then here is our PSP core, which we can drag onto our cores. I've already done that, so I'm not gonna do it again. Now it's very important that you have this file, but that should be included in the latest build for BleemSync. Okay, so that's it for the PSP core. We've installed the core, and we made sure that we had that retroarch core options for our PSP core to work. Let's go back to our Sony drive and go to BleemSync OPT BleemSync, actually retroarch.config retroarch. And this is where we added the cores, this is where we added the database files, and here is a cheats folder in case you want to add cheats. So I'm going to extract this here, and it's going to do its thing.